Greetings, friends, and welcome back to a very special episode of the Burgers and Fries podcast. Ryan, why is it so special?
Because it's mid-season.
It's mid-season, and normally with our mid-seasons, we like to bring on a special guest.
You do.
And this week, we have a very special guest of the show. We have DAnna, who is we'll let him do all the heavy lifting, but writer, artist, producer, extraordinaire of Bob's Burgers.
The jack of all trades.
That's right. He does all of the fun stuff. So, Mario, thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. And
yes.
we're just basically going to thank each other the rest of the podcast. And that'll be it.
40 minutes of just nothing but pleasantries.
Thank you.
So how about you go ahead and
tell everybody who you are, what you do.
Well, DAnna, I'm assistant director on the TV show Bob's Burgers. Just been promoted to director about a week ago. My official first show, the script is going to be in at the end of this month. So
nice.
That's going to be my first.
Which show is it? Can we look out for that?
I have no idea. I haven't even seen it yet.
Oh, okay. So you haven't been assigned it yet?
No, nothing's been assigned yet.
I see. Okay.
As a matter of fact, by the time the storyboard crew works on it, we might be in the new studio.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's
I
awesome.
remember the writers talking about that last.
Yeah, they were excited about it. John Schroeder and Stephen Davis, we had them on a while back, and
Yeah.
that's what they were talking about as well. That was the big news.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, my cubicle neighbor just told me he's been moved on to the Bob's Burger movie,
Okay.
and they're going to start moving them earlier. So sometime next month they're going to go, and they're going to go. I think Central Park will go with them.
Is everyone that's involved in the movie, are they moving first to the new digs, and then everybody else who isn't on the movie, who's staying on the show, are they getting left behind to the old place?
Yeah, because we're already set up.
Oh, well, it makes the most sense.
Yeah, because we already have everything there. They're setting up for Central Park in the movie first, so they're going to get them over there first, get them settled in.
Gotcha. That makes more sense. It wasn't a punishment for not making the movie.
We're supposed to move in November.
Okay, well that'll be fun.
As far as from what I remember.
Yeah.
So there we are.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
I'll miss the old place though. I've been in there for almost 9 years.
Wow. I don't think I've ever been at any job for 9 years.
This is my longest lasting job. The last thing I've been on, the longest lasting one was when I was storyboard supervisor on the Angry Beavers.
Nice. I love
that show.
That was a show that I watched when I was in the teens. To age ourselves compared to you.
Right.
And I stuck myself here and there in Bob's Burgers, and same thing in Angry Beavers. I got snuck in all over that show.
Sure.
I'll have to watch out for that name now. I'll have to watch out for you when I'm watching that show, because I think I have most of it. They're re-releasing those DVDs recently. Mm-hmm. I know they're talking about a whole bunch of Nick shows are getting the DVD re-release treatment.
And if I remember my nerdology correctly, Angry Beavers never got to air their final episode, correct?
No, and I don't know if I'm going to get in trouble for saying this.
To our 50 listeners,
Yeah.
our 200 listeners that we have.
I have a recording of the final episode.
Ooh, I think I've seen it on YouTube. Some of it. I don't know if it's the entire episode, but it got really fourth wall breaky, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, there was an animatic made. I actually saw the saw the animatic personally.
Okay.
But
I think that's what leaked out.
But that was many years ago. That was when it was just made.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I only saw it once. I only have a cassette of the audio.
A cassette, you say?
Yeah. That's how we did it. It was all pen and paper, and when I had to listen to the audio tracks to do the acting, I had to put it in a tape recorder, rewind it, play, let him do their line, stop, rewind, play. Did that all day long.
My gosh.
For our listeners that don't know, a cassette was a device used previous to the DVD in the 80s and 90s to watch video, to record video. It may have been. You may have heard of a VCR.
Yeah.
It was around the same time as something called a Betamax. We won't even get into that, but suffice to say, there are still VCRs out there. There are still VHS tapes out there. Mm-hmm. It's quite phenomenal that they're still around.
It's a niche, right? right?
No,
It's,
Well-
very special people have the VHSs and the DVDs, or
A
excuse me, the VHS and the DVDs.
storyboarder's best friend back in the day was basically was Post-its, whatever pencil you like, and those liquid paper pens.
Oh, I'm sure. nice and
Those
easy
were
erasing.
those were your best friends. You got those and like you stocked on those like they were bonds. But nowadays it's all digital, and
Yeah, now it's all digital. Yeah.
now I'm spoiled like crazy. I love it. Everything we do digital now, we virtually just animate everything. But it's like I'm spoiled now because the storyboards now really come alive. You can do so much with it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure. Yeah,
We were talking with at a Comic-Con. What was it? Not Tom Cook.
Tim Cook?
No. He was. Yeah, I think it was. We did the He-Man and the Super Friends, and
Yeah.
he drew all that stuff. But then he also was one of the very first artists to learn how to draw digitally. And that dog movie with Rodney Dangerfield. He had
Rover Dangerfield.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I don't know why I couldn't think of the name, but I think he was the one that helped. He did like that whole movie because he was like one of the very, he was like one of 2 people in town that actually could do digital, and so everything for Rover Dangerfield was done digitally, and that was the very first animated movie that was done digitally, and he got to work on it because he knew that was coming around the corner. Like, okay, we're not going to be doing pen and paper anymore; it's going to be digital. So he just taught it himself.
Yeah.
It was a very good
Trouble.
talk. If you ever had the opportunity, he travels the cons a lot. If you see him in your town, you need to go listen to his talk. It's amazing, especially for an artist like yourself. It would be just the coolest thing.
Absolutely. I love that stuff.
His talk was amazing. So okay,
We also had a fun little conversation where I was half paying attention, and he was drawing. Because of course they're selling their art at the conventions, and we were looking through all of his stuff, and we were talking about.
He did the original Super Friends.
So yeah, he did the original Super Friends. He did a bunch of stuff, and he was currently drawing something, and I forget where the conversation led. And I said, well, of course he knows. He's obviously drawing Batman, but he was drawing Superman, and I was arguing with Brian for literally probably 20 seconds. Like, no, it's Batman. And he goes, no, it's Superman. And Tom was there listening to us, and he goes, well, you never know the difference between the two because they did have the exact same chin. So
I was about to say, start chin first. Cause
right.
They're like the same model, different outfits.
Exactly. That was the point I was making. And so he signed it, and he put Batman with an exclamation point and a question mark. Like, we don't know if it's Batman or Superman, and gave that to me. So that was a fun story. I don't even know where that.
It could be Clark, or it could be Clark. It could be Bruce Wayne in Superman's tights.
It could be. We don't know.
Yeah. So it was a fun little interaction we had with him. So now that we're on the topic, or since we're on the topic of art, right? How did you get into drawing art? Was it just like, hey, I really like art class, and you just got really good at it, or what happened from there?
According to my folks, I was drawing since I was 2 years old.
Oh wow!
And I don't remember a time I wasn't. I just drew. Before any professional classes, before anything, I just studied and drew, and just the idea of me drawing wasn't so much that I wanted to be an awesome artist. I saw something I really liked, and I wanted to recreate it.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
I did what I could to recreate it, and that was the mindset I kept. It's like it wasn't about being an artist. I just wanted to recreate what I saw.
Sure, that makes sense.
And it's just, as long as you just keep that mindset and you don't worry about if you're going to mess it up or not, you just want to recreate it. Mm-hmm. You just do the best you can. It was when I got into high school is when I started taking more advanced courses. I started taking weekend courses because I went to Fairfax High, and they had a magnet program that I joined that was for special artists or special dancers. And so it was Saturday courses. So I went to school Monday through Saturday.
Oh,
wow! And you had class on Saturday. Oh, that must have been rough. But I guess it's something that you like, so who cares?
No, I couldn't wait for it. I loved it.
That's awesome.
My teacher was David Brain. He was a director for Disney at the time. He was working for he did a lot of the Disney afternoon stuff at the time,
like Tailspin and DuckTales and stuff.
He did. I know
Rescue
he was
Rangers.
He was working on Rescue Rangers at the time. I think he did. Yeah, he did some Winnie the Pooh.
All right.
New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh.
Yep.
I remember that show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. But he took time out of his schedule to teach on Saturdays to me and other people.
That's
Wow,
awesome.
that's really cool.
Yeah, that's super awesome. I remember those shows all the time. My brothers and I would rush home and watch them after school. It would be on TV. That would be what we watched. With those Disney afternoons with your Rescue Rangers and your Tailspins and your the Winnie the Pooh, and there was another one I can't remember.
Gummy Bears? Did you ever watch that?
Yes, Gummy Bears. Yeah, that was the other one.
Actually, the Gummy Bears was like really good.
Yeah, it was.
I'm surprised of all the things they want to remake, they didn't remake that.
It was weird. It didn't have like a main character like every other one. Like DuckTales had Scrooge McDuck, Donald Duck, right? Rescue Rangers had Chip and Dale. But yeah, Gummy Bears didn't really have like a traditional Disney character to kind of pull off of and build off of.
I guess that probably was it.
That's kind of like Smurfs and Care Bears then in the same sense. And
but those weren't Disney.
No. Smurfs had Papa Smurf.
I suppose you're right. Papa was the main Smurf.
Because you can always say Papa Smurf.
Yeah,
that's true.
And you can make up the rest of them, nobody would know.
Yeah.
There's always a focus, but you're right. It's like the Gummy Bears was like Friends. They were just all there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
I'd love to see a Friends remake of
Yeah,
Gummy
and
Bears.
Tailspin was just like a modernization of the Jungle Book, which is really weird when you think about it. Like, did they all leave the jungle and just decide to like live in the city?
Uh,
Well, it was just Baloo too. It wasn't anybody else.
No, Shere Khan was there.
Was he?
Louis. Yeah, he
was
Louis was there.
bartender.
Yeah, you're right. Louis was there.
Yeah. Don't question me on my Tailspin, man. That was my show.
yeah, he had a nice suit and everything. It was like a nasty corp.
Yeah. He talked, and he was the evil guy. You knew he was evil whenever he walked into a room. You just knew it. They were just advertising. This guy's evil. He's wearing all black. He's got his hair slicked back.
Yeah, they weren't subtle about good and evil, or good guys and bad guys in 80s and 90s cartoons.
But there was no Bagheera.
No, there was not.
He should have been like just
Panther?
some mystical guy that came in every so
No, there's
often.
no Bagheera.
Oh, I thought there was.
There was no Bagheera.
Okay.
He was dissed. He was completely dissed.
Nobody liked him apparently. He was still taking care of Mowgli.
Maybe he's the one that left behind, and the humans just running around.
Yeah, so we'll leave you here with the kid.
Yeah, we gotta go do a thing. He lost the bet, right? And everybody's like, "Who's going to the big city?"
He lost the bet and had to watch. He had literally had to watch him in the human city, whereas everybody else made their own animal city.
Right? Yeah, right. How did they figure that out? Oh, these questions.
It's like they got to share an apartment now, and Mowgli's a teenager, and Bagheera has to bitch at him and say, "You know, I used to do that on TV. You see what they're doing? That was me."
That's a show I'd watch.
Yeah, right. just a grizzled old Bagheera, drinking constantly because he's the one that left behind, and all his friends are gone.
Yeah.
Actually, that sounds pretty cool.
See, that's what I'm saying. I'd watch
That sounds like
show.
a great show. I'd watch it. Put that on Disney XD.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. Yeah, who do we got to get on the horn for that one? That's ready to be greenlit, baby.
Yeah, I'll try to sneak that in next time I'm there.
Yeah, thanks. We appreciate that.
We don't want any royalties. We just want our name mentioned.
That's right.
Special thanks to Brian and Ryan.
Yeah.
I'll just be around the corner of an office. You know what would be a cool show?
Bagheera and Mowgli drinking heavily. Remembering the good old days.
Actually, that's the name of it right there. Bagheera and Mowgli drinking heavily.
That sounds like an Adult Swim show at that point.
Yeah, it does. It's like this is like this whole skit, or this whole thing that we're playing out. It's just going to end up on Robot Chicken or something somewhere.
Oh, crap. They're probably going to listen to this. And
Oh, no.
I won't tweet out
Seth Green.
to Seth Green. Don't
Okay.
worry. I won't say, hey, we've got an idea for you. He has to come find it, and that'll be the day.
Awesome.
So anyway, as we digress with this wonderful transition that I have, this segue, I have your IMDb up. I kind of want to go and poke through some of the credits that you have.
All right.
Hold on. First question.
Whoa, excuse me.
First question
right.
is have you been to your own IMDb, and is it accurate? Because when we talked to
I was
Keisuke
about to
Hawashi,
say, they cleaned it up, and yes, it actually is pretty accurate.
Oh, good.
Good.
How often do you check, out of curiosity?
I think I checked it a couple months ago, maybe 3
okay.
months ago.
nice.
So it's pretty up to date. I don't know how often those things change.
I don't know, but
Well, every week, I
last
suppose,
I
if your
checked,
name's on the credit
it
somewhere
looked
for Bob's.
it looked pretty good last I
Okay.
checked.
All right. So it looks like first job that you had was on Pinky and the Brain.
Animaniacs.
It was animated.
First-
Oh,
Yeah, you have to look at the.
see, I'm ordering it wrong.
Well, no, the problem is IMDb does it by last episode, not by first episode. So yeah, so Animaniacs would have been first because
Would've been
that
first.
Pinky and the Brain was the spin-off.
Which is great because that's one of my Animaniacs is one of my all-time favorite animated shows as a kid, and I have to ask, what was creating storyboards like for that? Because they were so off the wall. I can't imagine like how much work you guys had to do putting the storyboard together.
It was interesting. See, nowadays, because everything is all digital, there's a lot of things you can skip or go through a little faster.
Sure.
An average storyboard now is like 4 weeks to get done on your section of storyboard. Like, I said 4 weeks, about 4.5, maybe 5 minutes worth of the show. And back then it was 6 weeks because you had to draw everything, and depending on the storyboard pages you get, normally there are 3 panels a page, and you're basically just drawing in those panels. Like if you have a character doing certain poses and they're in a background, usually got to copy over that background into those other 2 panels.
Oh wow, so it's a lot more work.
Yeah, then you're putting a post-it over the first panel to draw poses over the other guy, and then you're slapping those post-its onto the other frames and taping them down. Oh yeah, tape was your friend too, by the way.
Add that to our list of bomb
Just
shelter
the things that we
supplies.
need to do. Yeah.
And then, after you're done doing all that, drawing it, and now you got to get the dialogue on, so you got to, what we were told to do there, we had to literally cut out the dialogue out of the script and paste it right onto the storyboards. You can write it if you want, but it was neater if you cut it out and taped it on.
Because it looked better, or was it easier for everybody to get an idea of how the scene was supposed to be?
Both, because you need to convey that information as clear as possible, because that's all you had. And then all that would go to your director, and then your director have to go through all that, murder it, give it back to you, and then you have to redraw everything.
Until and then you have to do it again. Sounds
And
awesome.
then you got to do it again.
Yeah.
Oh, we're cutting all this dialogue. Oh, great. So you're taking a Sharpie and you're trying to get all that dialogue you taped on off.
Oh,
With all the different mouth movements.
Sometimes I just threw pages away and started from scratch. It was a lot better. Yeah, you have to do that with the.
Okay.
It was better if you did it that way. Like you chop up like a sentence that would express the dialogue. So you'd have like a lone A, and then in the next page the rest of the word would be there. And
oh.
So then, were you still working on Pinky or Animaniacs while Pinky and the Brain was going on, or did you jump and go to Pinky?
no, I did both at the same time. I had when I had an animation desk, you had stacks of papers. So I had a stack of Animaniacs, a stack of Pinky and the Brain, and there were 2 types of Pinky and the Brain. There was a after school Pinky and the Brain and a primetime Pinky and the Brain. So I was doing Animaniacs, after school, and primetime Pinky and the Brain.
Interesting. What was the difference between primetime? Just more adult style stories?
They had their heavy hitter writers doing the primetime stuff.
Okay.
So they'll make the
And,
money.
and those stories were the most epic, and they spent the most money. I remember I asked how much those shows cost back then, and I couldn't believe what I heard. And this is the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were close to. There was something like $1 million an episode
Oh, my
almost.
God.
Wow.
That's a lot for now still
Wow.
sometimes.
That's because Spielberg got a tremendous cut.
Oh, I bet. Take off his moment.
Yeah.
So whatever was left was for the show.
Wow. Wow, that's a lot.
That's what I heard, and I was like, oh boy, that's a lot. I don't even know we spend that much today on an episode.
Sure.
I would think that it depends on the show, again, how much beyond certain people, how much is actually spent. Because if you think about a show like The Simpsons, where each of the voice actors are making a huge cut per episode, you take away their amount and probably take away Matt Groening's cut that he gets for every episode. How much is actually left, for that? So $1 million for a show in the 90s, that seems like a lot, even though, you had some pretty good, it's not like the voice cast was any schlubs, and obviously the artwork was very well done. Mm-hmm. So, you're paying, you might, maybe at the time $1 million was paying what the value they thought of what they were getting. For who
No,
they
yeah.
had.
No, absolutely. It's just that, and for something like The Simpsons too, and Pinky and the Brain at the time, it had a budget to back it, so it wasn't bad.
Right, that's true.
It's
Yeah, it never really
it's
suffered.
not. Yeah, they weren't strapped.
The show didn't get canceled because of the money. This isn't Aaron Sorkin we're talking about
Yeah,
here,
right.
you guys. This is something different.
Yeah, no, it didn't get canceled. I don't know why it got canceled personally. There's always like certain shows have a limit.
Oh, for sure.
When I worked for Nickelodeon, I remember they stated at the time that was it 62 or 63 episodes was their limit, and they wouldn't go beyond that.
Really? Is that why all the episodes or all the
Yeah.
shows were so short? I had no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know SpongeBob went beyond 63 episodes, but one day they decided just to stop it and say, okay, we're going to stop SpongeBob. And then I'm like, why? You make over 400 million a year alone in merchandise.
That's crazy.
And they just stopped it.
Like, I understand.
So,
Go ahead.
oh no, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I understand for some of those shows, like the ones that we grew up with, like Rugrats and Doug, obviously Angry Beavers and things like that. But Doug, most importantly to me, is one of my favorite shows that was on at the time. And they definitely, I know that got sold to Disney for a season or two afterwards, and they hit that limit of they were done. And they ended the show. The last episode was them graduating school, and they had a road trip for the B story, the second episode. And that was it. And like that would have been the end of the episode. And Brian, you and I talk about this all the time on TV shows overstaying their welcome.
Yeah.
I feel like some of these shows at 60-ish episodes, they may not have.
They could have gone.
They could have gone longer.
Oh yeah.
But there is that fine line to what you're saying, Mario. That there is kind of. I think there is a shelf life for a lot of these shows, and I think Nickelodeon didn't want to at the time appear to go beyond that, and it wasn't until larger cable, internet, all those things came in where SpongeBob got such a large following. Where I guess they kind of started becoming a little bit lax on that because I think Jimmy Neutron went over that. I'm pretty sure Fairly Odd Parents went over that.
Yes,
for sure. So I think it may have just been
Fairly Odd Parents. That show's nuts.
So I think that's to me that kind of feels like that's one of those things where they were trying to keep it fresh and
maybe
and
but it always left me wanting more. Like I would always watch the same Rugrats episodes over and over again, and the same Doug and Ren and Stimpy and all those
Hey Arnold
classic.
for me.
Yeah, Hey Arnold was another fantastic one. Those are really great shows, and to learn that they put a cap on it just to keep it fresh. Was that the whole thing?
Yeah, that's the intention, but they were just kind of shooting themselves in the foot, in my opinion.
I think so. I understand why you would want to, because to Ryan's point, yeah, you don't want a How I Met Your Mother where it's just like, okay, let's get to the point now.
I feel like sitcoms.
Yeah, because Angry Beavers lasted 5 seasons.
Yeah, it was 5 seasons at, what, about 12, 13 an episode? Or 12, 13 a season, so then you're at like 60 to 65-ish.
It's 13 episodes, 2 shows apiece.
So then you had... Oh, so you didn't have that many seasons, so if you were doing 26...
Well, it was 26 in a year, because there were 11 minutes.
They had 4 seasons.
So, but if they did 26, then they had over 100 individual stories.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Real Monsters. I'm just looking.
But the way that they would have classified it would have been like 60 something episodes total. Because if you did the whole 13, if it's 13 a season, and then you have the double though, the way that IMDb and all the other places credit that is that they say it's 1 episode. So, but it really is 2. You are correct. It is 2. It's literally 2 separate storyboards for 2 separate episodes. It's not like it's the continuation at all.
Right.
I mean, there are 2-part episodes, and Hey Arnold did the same thing. Doug did. I mean, all those shows. If you think about it, all those Disney shows in that era were those double episodes.
Yeah.
Even still now, SpongeBob still does that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is about that time too, getting a fan following was hard because how you viewed them, everything was on TV. You had to be in front of that TV at the time to watch it. There wasn't any DVRs to watch it later. There wasn't any.
No.
There wasn't any streaming.
You just had to catch it.
To binge watch it.
Yeah.
Your last episode. It's like once you lost the season, that was it, and then you had to watch it. Hopefully, you watch it in syndication somewhere else.
Yeah, it was always my favorite day when I would get like a block of Angry Beavers for like 2 or 3 hours, where you just can watch them all. And and then it would go into like a bunch of Doug and then Real Monsters.
The summer was the best. The summer was the best for that because when I'm sitting at home in summer and I'm done outside, or I'd plan like my outside activities around what like the TV guide would say,
Right.
or whatever we would get, because our cable company would sometimes send out lists, and they'd be like, "This is what's coming on at this point." I'm like, "Oh, this show is on from 3 to 4. I'm going to sit and
never
watch
got
this."
that. Your cable company was so different from mine growing up.
Well, I had. Well, now they're all the same, but we had. Basically, it was Charter.
Okay.
What you would call it now, which is what everybody has in this area.
Yeah.
Spectrum. But yeah, so we'd get a little magazine that would say what would be on. If they knew far enough ahead of time, and I could plan around that. But yeah, there was no streaming. There was no way to get it. There was no video. You couldn't really buy VHS tapes.
DVD slowly kind of came out a little bit, where you could get some shows. You get like 4 or 5 in one,
the best of,
maybe VHS or a DVD or holiday episode. You would get those, but that'd be about it.
Yeah, I mean, hell, when I was a youngin' back in the 70s, when you went to go see a movie, and that movie was out of the theaters.
Was it a talkie? Did you call him a talkie back in the 70s?
Yeah, and I'd shake the organist's hand after the end of the movie.
Well done.
Yeah, it was great. But yeah, when that movie was out of the theaters, that was it.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't see anything anymore. You just have memories. I said, dude, remember the Bandit? He goes, yeah. I remember Iceman too. And that's all you had.
That's a crazy time, because like we grew up in the age of,
we grew up in the blockbuster
home
age.
of home entertainment, where I can just go rent a movie.
Well, it was in the mid '80s when you could start going to Blockbuster and Warehouse. Warehouse was the first place you guys should start going to, and Music Plus.
Yeah,
I remember Music Plus. We had one of those.
You could start renting movies. It's like, oh, dude. Of course, back then when the first days of renting movies, they had to have an insurance policy on their side. So my poor dad shakily had we'd rent like 3 or 4 movies, and each movie cost $90.
Oh,
so you 3 or 4 movies. So you have to do 3 or 4 movies equivalent on a check.
Yeah.
And they hold that check, and if you scratch or the tape goes flying out or whatever, you bought it.
Oh my god!
Wow. Did that ever happen to you?
Oh, thank God.
You would never rent a movie again.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this though. No, I don't think it happened to anybody. Everybody brought those things carefully back, well rewinded, and there was the please rewind message on every tape.
Yep, I remember those.
Yeah.
We even had I shouldn't say most houses, but I know our family had
a VHS rewinder.
We had a rewinder, an actual rewinder that we could use.
Its only job was to rewind VHS tapes,
and it was a fast rewind too, which I was always afraid. I mean, we didn't have the insurance thing, but I would have been definitely afraid to have that tape break on the fast rewind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
My fancy friends had the rewinder. I had whatever I had.
You just had to sit there and hold down the rewind button on the VCR.
Yeah, those were the same friends you go that had the water producing fridge.
Oh, I had never had one of those growing up.
No, I never had one. That's the first thing we bought when my wife and I bought ourselves.
It sounds like me. Like, I need to have one of these
bought
fridges.
A condo last year, and the first thing we bought was we're getting that fridge that our friends had.
You have to.
Never had.
Mm-hmm.
It's so awesome to have water come from the fridge.
Of everything in the house, that's the one thing that still fascinates me. I just go downstairs and
for sure,
this fridge is giving me water.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
So we kind of talked Angry Beavers a little bit. The other one I wanted to touch base on was a very unknown show that you worked on. I caught it in syndication on Cartoon Network, I believe, in their Adult Swim block, and that's Baby Blues.
Oh yeah. I Rough Draft. I worked at Rough Draft. I put my hat in for Futurama at the time, but they needed people on Baby Blues.
Okay, Baby Blues is such an underground. To me, I think it's more of like a cult favorite, because if you don't know about it, like you're definitely missing out.
Well, I think the problem was too. It came out at that weird time where people weren't really reading the comics in the newspapers anymore, so you don't really know the source material.
Right.
And so it's like, well, why would I watch the show that looks like it does?
Right.
When you're not familiar with what it was in the newspaper.
Yeah, I mean, it was popular at the time, but it was still an interesting option to turn into a show.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. I just thought the show was great. I love Mike O'Malley.
I liked working on it. I remember I did the Zuza episode.
Oh, which one was that?
That's the one where okay, I can't even remember the.
IMDb is not very helpful. It has no episode names or anything. It's just episode 1, episode 2.
Yeah.
I don't even know if you can download this anywhere.
I just
remember.
Yeah, I just remember the husband ended up in the middle of a field with a Zuza band playing, and the part of the story was I guess he got to conduct a Zuza, he was supposed to conduct a Zuza band and never got to do that final flip of a Zuza stick in the air, and then do the bow. But he finally got to do it in this one. So that's the scene that I did. But
okay.
Boy, that was a while ago.
Yeah. Yeah, that was that. I haven't seen that show or heard from that show in a long time. I'm going through. I'm like, oh, you worked on Baby Blues? That's awesome. And then now that brings us to Cat Dog, which was another fantastic Nickelodeon show, which was such a bizarre premise for a television show. To any of our listeners, if you are unfamiliar with it, you need to Google Cat Dog.
Cat Dog. That was another show I caught on TV.
Just type in Peter Hanna. Peter Hanna's the guy who created Cat Dog.
Cat Dog.
Yeah, it had catchy. Yeah, that's the one thing about the Nickelodeon shows. They always had to have a catchy song.
One fine day with a wolf and a bird.
Yeah.
David was born in a car. Little star. Go, three-eyed frog, a feline canine, little cat dog.
Cat dog.
Cat dog. Little cat dog.
See, if you watch the show, you definitely know that.
That's right.
That's that theme song.
It's almost Bob's Burgers-esque because it's an earworm. And it just kind of sticks with you.
Most Disney or most Nickelodeon shows have that earworm song. Like you could name any Nick show from 1989 to like 2004.
Like Rugrats, but that's because Devo wrote it.
Yeah, you get anybody that could write jingles. I mean, jingles are earworms.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was awesome.
I mean, there's a lot of old commercials that I know that nobody knows anymore that still ring in my head because of stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't reference to it because nobody knows what it is anymore. So I have to try to stay shut.
Everyone's gonna look at you like you're crazy.
Yeah, Brian and I are in a weird generation where we grew up in the 80s, but we know lots of 70s and 80s and 90s, and so we've had KSK on a couple times, and he'll say things that I think he thinks I would not even know, because he's 50 now. And it's like, oh, I know exactly what you're talking about because I used to watch that or I used to do that, because I was able to be in that, growing up with the internet, catching the old things, but then also still being alive, in when 60s and 70s and 80s things were still kind of on the syndication on TV, like Flintstones, for example.
Oh yeah.
When he and I had a conversation about Flintstones, and he's like, so it's like I don't think anybody knows what Flintstones are except for the vitamins in the cereal. Because my kids who are 7 and 5, they didn't know it was a TV show until I was watching it one day, and they go, "Hey, it's the guy on the vitamins." And I'm like, well, yeah, but they were first. The TV show came out way before the vitamins did, little man. And you're going to sit and watch the show with me now.
Have you ever had to take a Flintstone vitamin?
Flintstone
chewable?
I do take them still.
Do you?
With my kids.
Aren't they gummies now?
They do have Flintstone gummies, but I still have the actual tablets.
Yeah, chewables all the way, man. That's like candy.
Yeah. But it has that zinc in it. It's like biting a nickel.
It does have a little bit of zinc in it. And also I just realized, and I just noticed on the ones that I have, it has iron. So it's like I probably shouldn't be taking too many of those.
Yeah.
Iron's not exactly good for a man.
You don't need a ton of iron, yeah.
No, it's not a lot in there, but it is one of those things where it's like I probably shouldn't take 2 or 3 and pop them like candies.
Yeah.
That was no dose with me back in the day. It was like very very little sleep back in the day with the storyboard hours that I had to work.
Popping a lot of Flintstone vitamins.
I was taking no-dose to the point where they weren't even affecting me anymore.
Oh no!
Oh jeez.
So one day I finally said, "Oh my god!" It's like my bottle of no-dose is empty, and I just bought it. It's like maybe I should stop.
That's good that you were aware that you.
Most people would just move on to cocaine.
I thought about it, but no.
Yeah, it's good.
No.
There are more legal ways to do that.
Yeah.
I should have just moved on to the chewables.
Should have.
Flintstones chewable morphine.
The hard stuff.
Yeah.
Chewable morphine.
As Bart Simpson would say.
Yeah.
Flintstones chewable morphine.
So you also did a mess of episodes with the Spectacular Spider-Man 2008 series.
Yeah, that I was on that for a very small amount of time. A friend of mine was going to hire me on that from the I forgot what season I worked on. I think it was like 2 or 3. And I opted to work for Scooby-Doo direct-to-video. But when the Scooby-Doo direct-to-video was over, I hopped on to the Spectacular Spider-Man.
Okay.
For like the
Chill out,
remaining
Scooby-Doo.
episodes.
Yeah. So was it like, because you've drawn some iconic characters,
And
right?
the person who hired me was Kevin Altieri. He was the director on it. And by the way, one of the other directors was Jennifer Coyle, who was a director for us, Angry Beavers, sorry, for Bob's Burgers for a while.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think we've said her name in the credits in our podcast at one point.
Yeah. If there's anything really awesome being made, those two are making it.
Okay. We'll have to keep an eye out for anything that they're attached to. Then it's going to be super awesome. We got the 411.
Mm-hmm.
So, you've drawn some pretty iconic characters, some original iconic characters, but then also some really throwback characters with your Tom and Jerry and Scooby-Doo you mentioned, and Spider-Man. These characters have been around for decades. And what was that like to get? Oh, well, now you get to work on Spider-Man. You get to go draw. You get to go draw Scooby-Doo.
I was like, oh, about time. I mean, the Spider-Man was great. Spider-Man was great to work on. Hard, but it was good. It was satisfying. I got to do a lot of. I think one of the hardest scenes I had to work on that show was. I got to do the. Have anyone watched Spectacular Spider-Man?
I wanted to say yes, but then I looked into it, and I actually have watched the Spider-Man that came out before this one.
If you can go on you can go on YouTube, and I did the Kraven the Hunter episode.
Okay.
And I did the transformation of Kraven
cool.
turning into the creature.
Ooh.
Okay, now we'll definitely have to go check that out. That's awesome.
But that wasn't the hardest. The hardest part was Spider-Man had to go after some guy he was running after, but he was running after him through it was a horse race arena.
Okay, so you had to draw a lot of horses.
You got the crowds.
Yeah.
You got horses running with jockeys on them, and Spider-Man basically has to swing through the horses to get to him. That was pretty difficult.
Well, which is weird because normally he's like in the city, but now he's like messing around with horses. I wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah, he's in a horse arena. I don't even know why he was there, but I was there doing it.
Mm-hmm. What a voice cast on this show too. Jeez.
Oh, the Spider-Man one?
Yeah.
Yeah, they got some heavy hitters.
Clancy Brown, James Arnold Taylor,
John DiMaggio.
Oh, is he on the? Yeah, he's down there.
Yeah.
Lacey Chabert.
Yeah, some really good voice casting for that Spider-Man show. Absolutely. It's a big one. So that's kind of what I wanted to touch on before we hit into Bob's. Did you have anything else? Since this is a Bob's Burgers podcast, not just a cartoon history podcast.
Darren Norris was on that show too. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love Darren Norris. Oh, I have a question. Just a random question, not really random. Besides Bob's Burgers and Pinky and the Brain, what are some of the best memories you have in storyboarding for the shows?
Well, I loved working on Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain. Mm-hmm. Loved the crew I worked with. The company at the time was wonderful. I also really loved working on Angry Beavers. That was like a band of brothers kind of thing. We still get together every so often.
Oh, that's really cool.
Usually around Christmas, you all try to get together still.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that's pretty fun.
That's what I wanted to know. If there was any that you have, and that's good that you still have that.
And one of these days, when I get it converted, I have some very funny videos from that time period.
Oh.
We used to do things called 10-minute dance parties.
Okay, that sounds fun.
One of the directors would hold a 10-minute dance party in his office, and his office can hold maybe 1.5 people.
Okay.
We cram the whole crew in there if we can. And we have to basically do a dance party with a dance medley in 10 minutes. And when that 10 minutes is up, you all got to get the hell out. They put dry ice in a trash can, so we got the whole floor and mist, and they had a disco ball in there, and I have a few videos of that stuff.
That's awesome. Yeah, those need to go up on YouTube then. Especially if any of those people made it big, then you can just embarrass them.
If I get them converted, I think I need to do that.
That'd be really funny.
What are they in, like Super 8? Mini DV?
Yeah, it's on a VHS, and God knows what condition that VHS is in right now. I mean, tape doesn't live forever.
It does
No,
not.
that's true. That's true.
So I also have lots of cassettes of some of my old audio from shows I've worked on, and I don't even know what condition they're in yet. I have a converter for that,
Okay.
but I have to find my audio. Since we moved, I can't find it.
Uh-oh. I hope I don't have that problem. I just moved as well, and everything's just still in boxes, and I'm like, oh, that's where I put that.
Yeah, as long as it's out of the basement.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. For listeners who are just joining us, been talking. My basement flooded. I don't know if we mentioned that on the podcast before, but it's all gone now. Thank goodness. So we're just
Because it stopped raining for a week.
yeah, we have dehumidifier everywhere. So now what can so back on topic to Bob's Burgers, right?
Yes.
That's why you're here. That's the big show name right now, right? This is the one that you started. What year did you get there?
I started Bento Box 2009 on Neighbors from Hell.
Okay.
And that lasted all but 6 episodes. And while I was working on it, the designs for the show were beautiful, and it was a fun show to draw, but the story was awful. So at the end of every day, we would huddle in the corner and we would talk about how we would rewrite the story somehow, or like we should do it this way, we should do it that way. And while we're there, we noticed these 2 guys in the back room in this one office. I said, "Who are these guys in the back office? What are they doing?" It's like, I don't know, it's some show about a burger. And it's like, "Oh, what's it called?" And it's like, "Bob's Burgers." And I go, "Oh, I'd work for that show just for the name alone." I said, "I mean, this show's fun to draw, but I'd rather work for that show. Just the name alone, I'll work for it." And then, of course, Neighbors from Hell canceled. And then a week later, I was given a call saying, "Yeah, if you want to get on Bob's Burgers, they've started their season 1. And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely."
So it all happened because you just liked the name of the show.
Well, because I was part of Bento at the time, and
Sure.
they liked my work on Neighbors from Hell.
Sure.
Okay.
And they did need people because they started ramping up. There was only 6 episodes in season 1, I think. Of Bob's Burgers.
Season 1 was really short. We have the answer to this. So,
Yeah,
it was a full order. It was 12 or 13.
Yeah.
The second season was only 9.
Was that
yeah,
what it was?
because
Yeah.
it's because see, today we have, I mean, as it's been for a while, it has been 4 directors, and each director has a crew of 4 storyboard artists, and that constitutes, how long you're going to get a show done. But back then, it was like, I don't even think it was 4 directors. I think it was at least 2 directors or 3 directors, and there was only 2 storyboard guys to a director, which meant one guy got one half of the show and the other guy got the other half of the show.
Oh, interesting.
So it took some time. So I remember my first episode was Burger Wars, when Jimmy Pesto was introduced,
Okay, so that's season 1. Yep.
Yep.
and then the one I did after that was Lobster Fest.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's another classic episode.
So it was me and one other person, and we killed ourselves getting those
geez.
boards done because we had nothing.
Oh yeah.
We there was really nothing designed. We just had basic character designs. We had basic backgrounds. So if you wanted a different angle on something, you had to redraw everything.
Yeah. And we notice that in the show when we review. One of the things that we love the most about Bob's Burgers is the world building. So every time we get to go to a new place, or they jump into their food truck and drive out to this festival, or they go down to the Brazilian jiu-jitsu dojo. Even down to the wharf. It's one of my favorite places. That's outside of the restaurant. We just love seeing it. So do you guys have just big brainstorming sessions of like, okay, how does this look, or is it kind of mapped out for you guys already?
Well, we did the entire most of Ocean Ave, all of Wonder Wharf, and some surrounding streets were designed in SketchUp. That's a 3D engine on Google.
Okay.
And basically, we just had a big 3D map of the immediate area.
Oh, awesome.
We had all the buildings constructed and everything. We had some guys do some really nice work on it. And of course, in certain shows, we had 3D models of homes made. Like we do have a full 3D model of the Belcher's apartment.
Oh, that's so awesome.
And I remember the first show I AD'd on for Thanks Hoarding, we had to redesign Teddy's house.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to go. We got his 3D model of his house, and then we had to redesign. Actually, he didn't have a 3D model. He only had there was only 2 or 3 images of his house. So we had to actually build a 3D model, and while we were in there, we remodeled his house because for the show it wasn't working.
Oh, I love that episode. That's one of my favorite. I'm a huge Teddy fan. He's my favorite character, so I love whenever there's a good Teddy building episode. And that it's fun to see his. It's actually fun to hear that you had to basically create his apartment, and then I guess the surrounding stuff outside then too.
Well, there was comments on it. They said, "Is it me or does his house look different?" Mm-hmm. It looked like his house is different, and I commented back saying, "No, you're not crazy. We actually had to add a room to his house according to the script." Because they're saying all his stuff is hoarded into the dining room area, and it's like he didn't have a dining room.
At least where you put it though is pretty inconspicuous that you would not have, if you weren't looking for it, you wouldn't have known that it was never there because it's just a door there.
Yeah, because lucky for us, the camera never showed that way. Probably never.
Yeah.
But somebody noticed it because we also had to redesign his kitchen for the way people had to come in and out.
Sure.
And we had to widen his hallway. We had to do a lot of different stuff.
You just got a little total home makeover.
Yeah, right. I mean, he is a handyman. He probably just did it himself over the weekend.
Yeah, and he's up on the second floor, but his garage is on the first floor. So there's this person underneath him. He's like, who is this person? It's like, who is this guy? It's like, I don't know. Just put a door and a window and leave it at that.
It sounds like an episode waiting to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'll be another episode. Maybe that's where.
Oh, Teddy.
Teddy's
where Teddy keeps his dad.
Teddy's having beef with his downstairs neighbor.
Yeah, so I said, nah, it's where Teddy keeps his dad.
He's renting out 2 apartments.
Yeah. Whatever personality is that day.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past him to have the hoarding down there, too.
Yeah, actually, he just moves it all down there. So that'll just be a follow-up episode.
Exactly.
You
Thanks,
open the
hoarding
door.
2 Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah. But yeah, that was the first show I was assistant director on.
Oh, cool.
And so Tyree was my first director. I loved working with Tyree. He was a wonderful man. He moved on to Sony feature animation.
Oh, yeah. We just reviewed one of his episodes actually.
Yeah, we did.
The Purple Rain Union from this season 4, episode 6. Linda's reunion, class reunion episode.
Wait till you see the Halloween episode coming up. He directed that one.
I've seen all the episodes, and I am definitely happy with
your guys' holiday episodes are always so much fun. With Thanksgiving and Halloween and Valentine's Day, they're so much fun. It adds such a different element to it when you guys are working around a holiday.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they really put a lot of extra effort into the holiday episodes. Although I never got to work on one Halloween episode yet.
Oh no!
I always get Thanksgiving and Christmas.
So that means you get the next one.
That means I do like the Thanksgiving episodes too. I mean, we won't.
All
the holiday ones have been just spectacular.
They really have.
Yeah. The Thanksgiving episode's already done. It looks great. I've already seen it.
Oh, awesome.
Color and everything. It looks great. You'll like it. That was a lot of fun to work on.
That's the one that's coming up in a month or two. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Did Tyree do the most recent Halloween one? Is that what you were saying too?
Yeah, Tyree did the most
nice.
Halloween one. Most recent one. It is huge. It's a big one.
Good.
Oh wow. Okay. Now I'm ready to go. Now can you talk about you're moving up the ladder in Bento Box, where you started in the art department and then you became assistant director, and now, as you stated at the beginning of the podcast, you're now a full-fledged director.
Yeah, well, it's I went in as a storyboard artist, and then I got knocked down to a revisionist.
Oh no!
It was nothing really bad.
Don't worry, there's a happy ending to this.
There's a happy ending.
Yeah.
I still want to play it up, though. Oh no!
Actually, I like that because I like that because at the time I really needed a CPAP.
Oh.
And it gave me time to go to the doctor, get a CPAP, and after I got that CPAP, my work levels improved dramatically, and then I went back to being a storyboard guy again. And then I just kept excelling after that, and then I got to be the assistant director.
Awesome. That's so awesome.
It does have. You were right. It does have a happy ending.
Yeah, it does. So going from, in doing storyboards to directing now, what's that transition like? You're obviously done with the art, and you're just more so telling, hey, this is what we kind of need to do within this show. You guys need to draw that now.
Oh no, I mean, I'd have to draw more than I've ever had to draw before, probably, because I'll create sections that work for my crew.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll give myself a section to work on as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll work on my section, and then when their sections come in, I have to work on their sections. And we call it redlining, where I'll look at their stuff, I'll see what any changes I need to do. You just go into digital, get a nice bit of red ink, and just start drawing over them on another level. And just put some notes what they need to fix, and you give it back to them to fix. If it's small enough, you just do it yourself.
Right. Okay. And then now, is that going to be the same as directing now, where you're looking at everybody's stuff that's coming in from the other ADs and then putting it all together? Is that fair enough?
I'll be looking at all the storyboard stuff, and then I'm going to have to be dealing with design departments for characters, props, backgrounds. I'll be dealing with the writer with their script, and if there's anything in the script I feel doesn't work, I'll bring it to their attention. But I'll make sure to bring it into their attention in a meeting. Anything I want to add into it, I'll bring it to their attention.
Okay.
But I do have to stay true to Lauren's vision of the show and not go off the rails.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna bring up. We were talking with Ryan and I forget who we were talking with. Maybe it was nobody, maybe it was everybody at once. But there's some rules floating around. I'm glad you brought this up, Mario, about staying true to Lauren's vision.
I think it was the writers.
Yeah, it was the writers. John and Steven, there's some rules floating around the internet of how to draw specific characters and specific actions in King of the Hill. These are all Mike Judge's notes. Is there something that you guys have that, like, you have like a 1 through 10 checklist of things that need to happen within Bob's Burgers?
No, Bob's rules there's a lot of them.
Sure, yeah. 1 through 10 was just an example, but yeah, I'm sure you have a billion.
It goes right down to even pupil movements.
Oh wow!
Wow.
And specific eyebrow actions. This is the last things I do when I go through a file. After you make sure the scene is well composed, they're acting well, nothing's popping in and out, layers aren't over other layers. And then you get into the digital sifting, I call it. Now you're looking for eyebrows, now you're looking for eyes, now you're looking for feet, now you're looking for little tiny things that pop in and out or where they shouldn't be.
Sure.
And it's amazing on these characters how a simple eyebrow movement can change the whole mood. So you got to be just... The key to these characters that's very difficult is their subtlety. They have lots of subtle acting. There's lots of subtle gestures, and there's all these little subtle rules to them that you got to keep them in a balance.
Sure.
These guys are always walking on a fence with their rules, and you got to keep them on that fence. They look. I mean, when you look at the show, it's like, oh, this doesn't look so hard at all.
Oh,
what the hell are they talking about?
Is. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because like you're saying, those rules. If you miss out on one thing, it changes everything. And kind of on point to that is one of my favorite parts of the show is when somebody wears a different outfit than what they normally do. Like when it's raining outside, they put on their rain jackets. Or Bob came back from that patty cake concert and he was wearing a black shirt under his white apron, which was so different. And those tiny little details just make me so happy because I just like to see a break from, like, the everyday, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, there was an episode I just finished working on where one of the characters had something,
Oh, yeah.
and then part way in didn't have it anymore.
Okay.
And I had to make a note, say, okay, just to let you guys know, from this point on, this character doesn't have this anymore.
Okay.
So
See, I
make a
love,
note
I
of that,
love stuff
everybody.
like that. Okay.
But
That's
that
coming
note
out. That's coming out this year. Do you know what order it is, so I can look out for it?
Can make a note in our DVRs.
I know, right? I want to watch. I want to look out for this now since we just talked about it. And in the other thing,
it's gonna be a year from now, so let's put it that way.
Okay, so a little while. Yeah, gotcha.
You got a while.
Okay, I won't fret about it. Because the other costume that comes to my head, or that's out of the ordinary, is when Louise loses her ears and then she has to wear a hoodie for a little while.
Yeah.
I love stuff like that.
Yeah, we have what's known as the forbidden model sheet in the archives. We have a full turn of Louise without her ears.
Whoa!
Uh-oh. Another one.
And Lauren had that buried deep, and it says nobody gets access to this. Nobody.
Wow, that's awesome.
I've seen it. I've seen it season 1.
Okay. So you can confirm that it exists, but you are not sure on its whereabouts.
Nope, there's no way to get it. It's been buried. I know it hasn't been destroyed, but it's been buried.
Was it?
Yeah.
Do you know why? Was it like, oh, here's Louise, and then somebody goes, oh, she needs to wear something else?
Well, it's her lore to wear her ears, and you don't want to mess with that.
Sure.
At least Lauren doesn't want to mess with that.
So that was always the plan, was that she was going to have the bunny ears. It wasn't something that somebody put on kind of post the character creation. That was always, she was always going to be the bunny-eared girl.
Since the pilot, she's always had those ears.
Correct.
Yeah, I was just more curious. Is that something? I guess maybe you were. I mean, you weren't there for it, obviously, but maybe you heard through the grapevine. Is that when Lauren was creating the characters originally? It was Louise. She wears bunny ears. She's 9. All that, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Basically, he just said that she wears the ears. And I was like,
And you just go, okay.
why does she wear them? We don't know. She just wears the ears.
Sure.
It says we may touch on it later on. Who knows? But right now, she just wears the ears.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, obviously, it's a coping mechanism for her, but we don't know why.
Right. Yeah. I'm generally curious about that. I thought that was really cool. Did you have a hand in creating any of the characters since you came on? Having to draw or kind of stylize the look of a character?
No, we got design crews for that.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Then Devo was one of the guys that we had a while. Devin Roth was his name. We call him Devo.
Okay. I was like, okay, yeah, Devo, the band, got it.
Yeah.
It's their second mention on the podcast today.
Right. Mark Mothersbaugh is going to have to pay us a royalty fee here.
Yeah. He's working on Final Space right now.
Oh, Mothersbaugh?
Devin Roth.
Oh, you're okay.
Brian, pay attention.
I'm trying to. I need some no-dos. So, was there a specifically big part of Bob's or a favorite part of Bob's working on that it was like all you of creating a scene or even just some movement or something that you were just very proud of?
Yeah, the hardest thing I've ever done that looked to me was awesome to me. Mm-hmm. Mom Lies in Videotape.
Okay.
The Alien Queen.
Yep.
On stage.
I did a lot.
I did a lot of that.
Okay, that's awesome. We'll get that on our rewatch. It'll be fun.
Yeah, we'll come back to it in a year or more.
Yeah, that was a tough scene. The amount of layers I had to do with that thing, and the loader that Tina had to drive. We didn't have
yes. Okay.
We didn't have a design for it, so I designed it. And not only did I design it, I had to build it. I had to put it in different layers so I could put her character in it. The roll bar that comes down on her, that was a separate layer. Her legs were a separate layer. Her arms were a separate layer. The body was a separate layer.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait now to take a look at it. Going through on our rewatch. That's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
Because we had a SketchUp of the actual loader. Somebody built an actual 3D loader from Aliens, and we were going to use that. It's just put her in the loader. But Lauren was like, no. That looks too good. That just looks too good. You can't do it. It's like, yeah, it's a fantasy sequence. It's like, yeah, but it's too good. It's like, shave it down a bit. So I was like, okay, so I'll make another one.
Sure. That's fun. So were you a big Aliens fan? Was that why this was so cool for you?
Oh yeah, when Chris Song was the one who directed that one, and when he said, "Hey, who wants the air?" He got to air, and I was like, "Oh, me." I'll do it, which is fine. I didn't have to because nobody wanted to touch that scene. Nobody wanted to try it.
It looked like a pretty difficult scene to compose.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, me."
It turned out awesome. I love it.
Were you a fan of the movie too?
Oh yeah, I was like, nobody can give me crap watching Aliens at work.
There you go. No, this is for the show. Be quiet. Go get me some popcorn.
Research. What's your problem? I'm watching this.
I'm watching this. Did you have to do the same thing for the deepening? Did you guys just watch Jaws a bunch of times?
I would. I didn't get to work on the deepening, but I would. That would be great.
Yeah, that was one of my all-time favorites. Is just because I grew up on Jaws, and just to watch, some of the little homages that you guys hid within the show was so much fun.
I remember when Jaws came out that the beaches were losing business.
Yeah. The tagline of the movie was it made people are afraid to go in the water because of this movie.
Yeah, beaches were losing business, and they were really pissed at that movie.
Yeah, I bet. But that movie was ridiculous. So who draws the script covers? That's one of my favorite things that Bento Box tweets out and puts on their Instagram and all that stuff. Is these fun little script covers that people get to draw that you don't get to see normally unless you're on social media.
From what I was told, and Tony Girano is the guy that does them.
He does every single one.
I guess so.
Okay.
At least most of them. If he doesn't have time to do one, somebody else will do it. But Tony Girano should be the guy that does them.
That's awesome. They're some of my favorite things that we get to see because the shows, the episodes are always so punny.
When we post a table read, somebody will hold up the script.
Yeah, because they're always so punny, and then you get to see. I think I saw like a Christmas one at one point, and everybody's dressed up festively, even though it has nothing to do with what happened in the actual episode. It's just fun to see.
No, I like that we do stuff like that. There's lots of little things we do. We also have this thing. As a matter of fact, just before I got back home to do this, every Tuesday when there's available, we'll have screenings of upcoming episodes. After we have an animatic put together, Storyboard team's done. They put it goes to editing. Editing will put music, sound effects, and everything into the animatic, and then we'll watch it, all of us. And then they'll see our reactions and see if we like it or we don't like it. If we can laugh at our own crap that we've been working on for weeks and weeks and weeks, it's like, oh, that's got to be a good show.
What was one of the ones where you just couldn't stop laughing even after having worked on it? When you got to this point and you're like, oh my gosh, this episode's gonna kill.
Oh my God, there was a few like that. Anything with Teddy having a panic attack, everyone just laughed.
Sounds like me. I should be at those. Yeah, I'd be laughing my ass off the whole time.
Just Larry Murphy going nuts.
And that's the thanks hoarding one. When Tyree says the thing that's going to make this show work is the acting and how we make these characters act. And I was the one who stood up and says, I'm going to take care of a lot of the Teddy stuff. Mm-hmm. Because Teddy is my dad.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to put my dad in Teddy as much as I can. But between me, Tyree, we put a lot of work in Teddy on that one. Because we went over a lot of it, and we went over with a lot of subtle act. Tyree did some funny stuff with Teddy.
Yeah, it shows.
Like at the end when he ran out the door and that car almost hit him.
Yes.
Actually, the first pass of that was Teddy goes, "Oh, you won't regret it. I'm gonna go across and go over right now." He just ran across the street, and that's when I went in his office. I said, "Why don't we have him just get hit by a car?"
That's more of a Teddy thing. Yeah, to not pay attention to the roads.
It would be funny if we have him hit by a car. He goes, "Oh, they're not going to approve that." I said, "All they can do is say no."
It's true.
Mm-hmm. But we can have him get hit by a car. So sure enough, second pass. He ran outside. He got hit by that car. He went flying over the hood. He disappeared behind the car for a sec. Then he got back up and started running. I said, "No, that's funny.
It is.
They're going to say no in a hot minute, but that is funny." But they came to a compromise. At least they say, "Okay, we can't even get hit by the car, but you can get almost hit by a car." So the car came in, and he goes, "Oh, excuse me," he just run away. It says, "Okay, well, at least we can come to a compromise."
And that's still hilarious because it's still a Teddy thing to have happen to him.
But it was to me, it was just funny. He got hit by that car. We basically just had to get hit by a car.
Which is somebody will someday.
Someday I'll revisit that.
Yeah, like Jimmy Pesto just gonna meet the front end of a Buick.
Yeah, we keep all the old scenes, so I'll just.
Somehow it made online. I don't know how this leaked.
Weird. Yeah,
I'll just keep putting it in until Sunday. One day, okay, getting hit by cars, all right.
Sure. So I know you're not working on it. You mentioned that at the beginning of the show, but there's this movie coming out, a Bob's Burgers movie. Is there anything you can tell us or tell our listeners about that? Everybody, it's all kept so quiet. Is there anything you can let out?
I can only tell you the script was huge.
Okay.
Well, compared to a normal 22-minute episode, I understand.
It was a huge script. All I could say is, it's nothing I can. It's nothing. All I can tell you with honesty, you're gonna love it. This is just the first pass, mind you. There's gonna be quite a few other renditions of this movie, but from what I've seen already, it's gonna be a really good episode. It's not an episode, Mario.
That's just a really long episode.
You're locked into episode. It's gonna be a good movie. It really is.
So is it for true fans of the show?
I got to do a little work on it in the past couple of weeks. Okay.
Like
my contribution to it so far is pittance, but
sure. But hey, you get to work on the movie though. That's still pretty cool.
And I mean, if you say it's going to change a couple times, I don't think there's any reason why you can't send it to us now because it's clearly not going to be. It's not going to be the same thing when it gets released. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, whatever. You know what? Just check your Dropbox at the end of the day.
Got it.
Check your Dropbox. Deal. And so the last question I had is, what was there a show that either growing up or even during your time working on all these storyboards, was there a show that you really wanted to work on that you just didn't quite get? Like I know you mentioned Futurama before, but maybe that wasn't one that you
mentioned
really
Family Guy
wanted.
before.
Oh, was it Family Guy? I'm sorry, I thought it was Futurama.
I don't know. I mean, when my first job was Animaniacs, everybody wanted to get on that.
That show was so good.
That's a good first show.
Yeah,
I was like, achievement.
Yeah, basically.
I was like, so I'm already on the show that everybody and I would have loved to work on.
Right.
Because I was sitting there watching it like everyone else. Because I got in season 2 of Animaniacs.
Yeah, but, that show's great.
I mean, yeah, I would have liked to have got the Futurama over Baby Blues, but I still had fun working on Baby Blues. I pretty much had a good time working on just about everything I worked on, except for maybe one thing.
You don't have to name it. That's fine.
We'll leave that one.
Yeah, I won't ask that. That's fine.
We'll let that.
But that's good. That makes for a good career. It's like, oh god, I have to go to work again.
No, I really love.
Go ahead.
I really love what I do, and but the amount of hours you work on it. I mean, my hours at my old hours at Nickelodeon was 10 a.m. to 2 a.m.
Oh,
wow, gross.
Get a cot for that room.
Yeah, no kidding.
I did. I had a beanbag.
So I lied. I have another question.
Of course you do.
Mario gave me an idea for a question because when you started to talk about Teddy, you actually had a little Teddy imitation going on. Does everyone in the production crew do that? And does it annoy the voice actors, or how does that kind of go? Or do you guys just, when you talk about these characters, they would say this, and then that person would actually talk like them? Oh no,
not at all. As a matter of fact, when we get the audio to start working on our storyboards, sometimes the voice actors weren't ready, or they made some last minute changes that the voice actors weren't there to perform the changes. So the writers and Lauren most of the time will just fill in for those changes on our scratch track. So Lauren will be Louise.
That's fun. She's my favorite.
So I got Louise speaking like Lauren. But Lauren puts in all, but Lauren puts in all the acting and inflection in the voice, so it works.
Sure. So it works. That's good. That's good.
You don't need it to sound like them, but as long as it sounds as long as it's in the tone and emotion they would use, that's probably all you need.
And I mean, I've never done it myself. Tyree's done it, but if you needed a little scratch track, like right there and then. You could just hit record and do it yourself.
Oh, sure. Just to get some audio laid down.
Yeah, and then you could just...
That's funny.
You could just get it all acted out, then you can show it to whomever, and if they like it, then they'll keep it, at least for the scratch track.
Who would you want to voice if you had the opportunity?
Oh, I don't know. I could do Teddy. I could probably do Teddy.
All right.
Hi, Bobby.
Oh, yeah. That's pretty good.
Better than we could do. That's why we're not in this. What'd you point at me for?
Like,
your turn for questions.
Oh, I've asked the questions I wanted to ask.
Right,
you were the one that had the...
I had so many questions.
You had a lot of questions.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I think that's going to do it for us with all of our questions. I think you gave us great insight onto the show, and not just Bob's Burgers, but all the shows that you've worked on. Kind of went through our childhood there for a little bit, which was so much fun to reminisce.
Oh, damn. I mean, hey, anytime. There's a lot of stories there.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, if we ever have any more questions, we'll definitely have you on. And what I want to do is see if we can bring you on when we get to the very first episode that you directed. So when that comes out, I know it'll be a while. I understand, but when it comes out, we definitely want to have you back. And I think you have some in season 4 that you've worked on as well that we could have you come on and talk about your scenes and stuff, which is always really great because we just love. I know we spoke about this a couple of days ago, but we listen to all the commentary on our movies and shows just because we love all the behind the scenes stuff.
They don't do those anymore. Great. It's really sad.
They don't do those anymore. So this is like the next best thing is these podcasts and reviews.
Well, yeah, because especially you don't get discs made anymore or DVDs, so it's like you usually get commentary and stuff like that out there.
Now?
Like you could do it as a separate audio track. Like Netflix and Hulu, you can choose which audio track you want to listen to.
That's true. So but nobody wants it. There's not a draw for it.
False.
That's true. I mean,
people want it. There's not enough of a mainstream audience to warrant taking the time to do it.
I mean, the Batman movie with Adam West and Burt Ward.
Yes, the animated one.
Yeah. No, the live action one.
From '66. Got it.
Yeah. I can't watch it without the commentary anymore. I have to watch it with the commentary.
I didn't know that even existed.
Oh, no. Burt Ward and Adam West are doing the commentary over the movie, and I can't watch it without it. It's like part of the thing we do.
Is it like a Mystery Science Theater riff track type thing where they just talk, where they're just making fun of themselves over it?
Oh, my God.
Totally making fun of themselves. But they point things out I've never noticed. And I'm like, oh, my God, look at that.
Oh, my God.
They must have done it later. They must have done it later, like within the last probably 10, 15 years then.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're looking back at it. Okay.
Sure.
I mean, it was like 10, 15 years ago that this...
I think, during the anniversary, I think they released it, maybe 10, 15 years ago. I remember it came out on Blu-ray, I think.
Yeah.
That must have been when that commentary track happened then.
But I recommend it. I just can't watch that movie without it anymore.
Okay, you sold us. I didn't even realize that it had commentary track, and now I need to watch it.
It's only $5.99 for the Blu-ray. Amazon.com.
Dude, grab it. We need to watch it. That sounds so fantastic. We'll get some beers and just watch it.
That one doesn't have the.
I grew up with that movie because it's great because I grew up at a time not knowing that this didn't exist. Like I always had, because it was either in syndication or we had the movie at one point, and just you always watch this really campy Batman, and I just loved it. So that's really good to know that it has a commentary from Adam and Burt.
Oh yeah, and it's great. It's a great one.
Yeah, it definitely is. So, again, that's gonna do it for us. And thank you so much. We cannot say thank you enough for retweeting us and coming onto the show. It's been so much fun to sit and talk with you for we probably wasted at least an hour. So it's been absolutely fantastic.
It's not a waste if it was fun.
Oh, it's never a waste to me. These are the conversations I live for. So if we need to have you on, it's always great to know that you're glad to come back on because we probably will someday, and just to have some more fun, just to talk about more about Burgers stuff.
Just hit me up. You know how to reach me.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's gonna do it for us at the Burgers and Fries podcast. I'm Brian.
I'm Ryan. Don't you tell me no lies.